Hello and welcome to the third week of CSCI 1100. I'm going to share my screen. There we go. And now we can get started. This week is Windows 10 and computer concepts. So first thing we're going to talk about is input devices. So an input device is a device that takes information from the user or the outside world. There you go. And translates it into information that the computer can process. So some typical input devices: keyboards, touchscreen, mouse, microphone, camera, stylus, gamepad, right? Anything you use to put data into a computer. Let's talk a little about processing. Processing is done by the CPU and the GPU. CPU is the central processing unit. Modern processors are usually multiple processors bundled on a single piece of silicon. So if you hear somebody talking about the 8-core processor, that's because you have 8 processors bundled into that one chip. The typical duties of a CPU are math, moving around data, and everything else that a computer appears to do as a result of a very rapid sequence of these two tasks. The GPU, which is the graphical processing unit, may or may not work in tandem with the CPU. A lot of times it doesn't. A lot of times it handles the graphic processing and allows the central processor to do what it needs to do, okay? And that actually makes the computer run faster. That's usually done with online games and other graphic intensive things. We also have output devices. Now that's anything that puts out data to you, information to you. So that's monitor, touchscreen, speakers, printer, VR headset, okay, those kind of things. We also have storage, which is like hard disks, solid state disks, flash drives, and optical drives. We'll talk more about that later. So first, let's talk about a motherboard. Let me show you a motherboard here real quick. Alrighty, a motherboard is, I admit it's been a while. We'll use this one. So this is a motherboard, okay? This is where your CPU goes. These are your ports in the back. These are your expansion slots, and this is where RAM goes, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Now your CPU, your central processing unit, which goes right there, okay, is the brain of the computer. It contains the electronic circuits that allow processing to occur. Now RAM, which goes right here, okay, is random access memory. It's volatile memory. It's temporary. We use RAM sticks in here that look like this. RAM sticks. Now, pardon me. Yes. These are RAM sticks. Okay? And those go right into here. Well, they did go right in here. They go right in here. Okay? When the computer is turned off, what's on a RAM stick is lost because it doesn't save it. You also have read-only memory, or ROM, which is non-volatile memory or permanent memory. When the computer is turned off, what's saved on it is not lost. It's still there. That's where your operating system and your applications and all your data is saved. So if I do a solid state drive, okay, that's a solid state drive. It uses microchips to save the data. A hard disk drive uses a disk like that to save the data on. It has this little arm that saves it there. Okay, solid state drives are faster than hard disk drives. And they've actually come down in price to be almost comparable to a hard disk drive. Almost. But how do we measure memory? Well, let's see, memory size chart. So let's go in here and we'll find us a memory size chart that we can use that's fairly straightforward. Let's see here, I think, this will work. Yes. So, oh, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. There we go. No, that's not what I wanted. Okay, wait a minute. That's what I wanted. There we go. Sorry. A byte is 8 bits, okay? A byte is 1 character, like an A. On, off, right? A kilobyte is 1,000 bytes. A megabyte is 1 million bytes. A gigabyte is 1 billion bytes. And a terabyte is 1 trillion bytes. A petabyte is 1 quadrillion bytes, okay? So right now you can get hard drives and solid state drives that are in the multiple terabyte range. You can get flash drives that are in the gigabyte range. USB drives are cheap, they're portable, they can hold gigabytes of data. Hard disk drives, you know, those are housed inside of a computer's case or portable housing, unless it's an external, you know, hard drive, in which case it does have that portable housing. It's slower because it has to access the data from the disk, but it can store terabytes of data. Solid state drives, like hard disk drives, they can be inside a computer's case or portable housing. They can store terabytes of data, but they have faster access because it's all coming off microchips. And optical disks, okay? CDs have 700 megabytes of data. DVDs have 4.7 gigabytes, and Blu-rays have 25 gigabytes of data. There was a time in the 90s when CD drives and DVD drives came out for computers that people got really excited because they were able to save a lot of data on a portable medium. All right. Shutting down a computer. When you shut down a computer, you should use the operating system shutdown process. To do that, you come down here to the start button, click that, then click the power button, and then you just do shutdown. And what that does is it allows applications to close softly. In other words, go through and close it down gently, close down the operating system gently. All right. It allows the system to save any unsaved data or finish processing in progress. In other words, it does it in a way that it does not harm your computer, hardware or software. You can also restart. which is where it does a shutdown and then restarts it back up. Now you can shut down the computer by holding the power button. Don't do that, because that is a hard shutdown. All it does is turn the power off, and that can damage things, so don't do that. Networks. Okay. There are some categories of networks. The internet, the world's largest network. That's what covers the entire world. An intranet, which is a smaller network, typically limited to a company or institution. All right. When you log on to the computers at ETSU, you're logging on to ETSU's intranet. And their internet covers, geographically speaking, their campus, and their campus up in Kingsport, and all of the computers therein. All right. A local area network, smaller network still, that's a classroom or a department. Your home network would be included in this. That's a LAN, local area network. A WAN, a wide area network, connects computers or smaller networks across large geographical distances. So you may have 3 buildings in a city, and you connect them all together with a WAN, okay? Network infrastructure, yes. Okay, switches. Switches connect devices on a wired LAN. So I don't do network switch. I'm going to get a switch that's like a light switch, but that's a network switch. You will most often find those in server rooms where the internet comes into the building, all right? And that goes in the back. It is then distributed through these ports in the front. That's how a switch works. You have routers. Okay. This is a router, which I'm sure you have seen in your home. These days, you usually have a combination router and modem in your home, okay? That's what most of them are now, because that's just easier. So what does a router do? Routes messages between smaller networks, all right? You have wireless access points. These access point, okay? Those are wireless access points. If you log on to the ETSU wireless internet, you're logging in through a wireless access point, all right? Thus giving you access through your laptop to it. Wireless access point provides wireless network access to wireless clients within range. Wireless clients are your phone, your tablet, your laptop. Wireless access points provide a connection between wireless devices and the wired network infrastructure. Modem, okay, a modem. Now, like I said, you most likely have a modem router combination. But what a modem does is it provides a connection to a telecommunication provider network. So it takes the signal coming into your house and then distributes it outward through your house to be used by your computers and your phones and your tablets. That's what a modem does. It actually translates that signal. There are 2 types of networks. Well, I say that. There's wired and there's wireless, okay? And wired networks need a standard to allow communication over a shared medium. In the case of wired networks, this medium is usually a pair of twisted wires, what we call Ethernet cable. Here, let me show you that. Ethernet cable. Let's see, Cat 6, I think. Have they got a Cat 7? This is Cat6 Ethernet cable. All right. You've probably seen one of these somewhere before, plugged into the back of the computer. All right. That's the standard right there. The standard for wireless is a band of radio frequencies, which we call 802.11. Right now, there's 802.11a/n/AC. That's your 5 gigahertz band. Your 2.4 gigahertz band is 802.11b, g, and n. Okay, are the standards for the 2.4 gigahertz. So n can do either 5 or 2.4. All right. Most things run on a 2.4 gigahertz band. Wireless switches and outlets in your house run on 2.4 gigahertz band. I'll just tell you that right now. So wireless networks. Your home wireless router performs the functions of a switch, router, and wireless access point rolled into one. The devices on a wireless network must communicate in an organized fashion. If they talk at the same time on the same frequency, they won't hear anything. It'll be a garble. All right? The wireless access point coordinates communication between devices to keep them from interfering with each other. Kind of like a traffic cop, right? Directing traffic. Wireless devices not connected to the access point, but communicating on the same frequency cause uncontrolled interference. Things like printers, Rokus, other wireless routers, and access points. This is why, when you bring unauthorized wireless devices into range of campus Wi-Fi, you are degrading the services of others around you. Okay? Now, having said that, ITS may instruct you to shut down your unauthorized device. If you don't, you may face additional consequences if you continue to use your device after receiving a warning. Now, as I understand it, it's okay to use these things in the dormitories because they're set up for that. Okay? But you want to be careful. You always want to think of others. All right? Computer software. So, for a computer to perform the operations that it does, it must be told specifically what to do. A computer can only do what it's told to do. I know, there are times when you think it's doing whatever it wants. But a computer can only do what it's told to do. Computers are stupid in that way. Okay? We have not reached the point where computers can think on their own like humans can. So we first have system software or operating system software. And that's our base level, okay? That's our base level right there. And operating systems are like Microsoft Windows, Linux, Ubuntu, Fedora, Apple OS, Android, iOS, Chrome OS, Unix, and MS-DOS. If you remember MS-DOS like me, you're old. Well, I won't say old, but you remember the 80s. It controls the basic operations of the computer, tells the hardware how to perform requested functions, allows the hardware and software to work together. All right? Then you have application software. Now, the application software sits on top of the operating system and plugs into it. That's why software written for a Mac won't work on a Windows computer. And software written for Windows won't work on a Mac computer. They have to be compatible with the operating system. So things like word processing software, spreadsheet software, database software, presentation software, and games, and any other kind of software, okay, has to be compatible with the operating system. But those are some examples of application software. So let's talk about Windows 10. Let's talk about the desktop, shall we? Now the desktop, let me take this down, here we go. It's just that. It's a desktop. It's where you do your work at. All right. It's where you open your applications. It's where your taskbar is. It's where you do all your work. Okay. Now, normally on a desktop, you would have icons and folders that you would click to open stuff. I keep my desktop really clean. But the concept is you have folders and there are things inside the folders. So when you click a folder, you open the folder to see what's inside. Okay? An icon, such as these down here, can represent either a folder or a program or files that you're opening. All right? Now, this is a taskbar here. Okay? These are my programs that I have pinned to the taskbar, the ones I use the most. You also have your clock and your date, your network connection, your sound, your Zoom meeting, your Dropbox, okay? You have your hidden icons here, all right? No problem there. You have notification icons over here. You just click that, there's your notification. All right, click on your time and date. There you go, time and date. You have a system tray, which is what this is over here. All right. You have a search box here, which allows you to search for programs and open them like so. You would just hit enter now and it would open Word. So mouse functions. When I want to open a program, I click with my left mouse button. Okay, so if I click brackets, it'll open brackets. And I did that with one click of the mouse button. Yeah, don't worry, that's not part of this class. My right button, mouse button, if I click it, brings up what's called a options menu, and it differs depending on what I right click on. But this gives me graphic properties, display settings, personalization, that kind of stuff. If I click down here, it gives me a different option menu, all right? Those will differ. A couple some built-in tools here, all right? So snipping tool. If you type in snipping, it comes up, you just hit it. Hit enter, give it a sec. Now what this does is if you hit new, you can do a screenshot. So if I hit new, this doesn't mess up my Zoom, I can do a screenshot, okay? Like that, and save it. That's a good way to just do a screenshot. There's the magnifier, okay? As you noticed, it magnifies the picture. Let me do something here a minute. Take it back to 100%, pour this over here. This is the magnifier, and you can do different views. You can do a full screen, a lens, okay, like that, all right? You can also do docked, okay? Magnifier comes in pretty handy most of the time. Because if you're having trouble reading something, you can always magnify it and use it, all right? You also have sticky notes. And these are just like the sticky note pads that you have, okay, on your desk. All you do is type your note, okay, and then you can do a plus, so it adds another. And you note that you have your list over here in the sticky note manager. You can bold, you can italicize, you can line through, you can list, you can put in pictures. If you pop it down, you can change the color, notes list, delete the note. You can also delete it just by hitting the X. And then you can close this by hitting that. There's also Snap. What Snap is when you take a screen, such as my File Explorer here, that work, up, and you pop it to the top, it snaps open. That's Snap. You also have Shake. If you have a window under the windows, if you grab it and shake it, all the other windows close. That's how Shake works. Okay. Let me see here something. Okay. So, let me reopen my File Explorer here and explain a couple of things to you. This is File Explorer. This is how you navigate through Windows file system. Open this up a little more and we'll get there, okay? There we go. So on the left, you have your navigation pane. This is where all your folders and your files are. It is in a tree or hierarchical view. All right. So if I open downloads or click on downloads, it shows me what's inside. Downloads is a child of PC, this PC, because it is inside this PC. Share 2 is a child of downloads and a grandchild of this PC, because Share 2 is inside of downloads, which is inside of PC. Now, I can resize this just like this, okay? I can move it around. I can go full screen. I can go not full screen. All right. I can close it with the X. I can minimize it with this. And then I can get it up again with that. All right. I can also minimize it with Windows key M, which minimizes everything, which is not necessarily a good thing all the time. Okay. In here, you have your quick access toolbar. This is the stuff that you access the most. All right. That's why it's there, so you can get to it quickly. And it'll usually be downloads, documents, maybe pictures. All right. That's in there. Now, the right pane, let me pour this out here. It's what we call the file and folder pane. This is what's in the folder that you have clicked over here. So if I click this PC, it shows everything that's under here, okay? If I click pictures, it shows everything that's in pictures, including the folders as well as the pictures that are just not in a folder. All right, Windows 10 file management. So if I hit Windows key E, it brings that up, okay? Or it brings up the computer window. I can bring up a command prompt. There we go. Then I can do a tree command. What that shows is the entire tree file system in Windows 10. Everything, okay? Now, we have something called file management. Now, I've already talked about that, but hierarchical structure, folders within folders. You can organize data that you create using folders that are appropriately named. Be cautious about moving and changing existing file and folders because you could lose, a link to it or a connection. One of the things about files and folders is you just gotta be careful with it. Now, when I open this, my file explorer, okay, and then I click this PC, one of the things you see are the drives. So I have a local drive, which is 446 gigabytes, okay? Now, I'm gonna do something here real quick. And something's gonna happen, at least I hope it happens the way I think it does. And that is my external hard drive, which is a 1 terabyte hard drive, is now online. I have it hooked to a USB switch that I can turn on and off for when I want to use it, okay? So I use this to back up my data. Now your local C drive here, okay, is what's inside, where your operating system and your applications are stored. Now if I right click a folder, I get an option menu, okay? I can then do something like properties if I wanted, or I can do view, and I can change how things look by simply choosing a different style, okay? If I choose extra large or even large, that's what I get. If I do the computer tab, I get access media, map network drive, add a network location. I get a bunch of different stuff, okay, that I can do in here. All right. So we did that. Let me explain file extensions to you. And when we talk about file extensions, we're talking about stuff like .jpeg or well, give me a minute here to get this back up. All right, there we go. We're talking about .exe or .docx, which is a Word file, .html, which is a web file, a web page file, or .zip, which is a zipped and compressed file that we can use, all right? The extension tells the computer what type of file it is. And by doing that, it tells it what programs can open it, okay? Most files have extensions, but sometimes you cannot see them. Sometimes you have to select views and details to examine the options, okay? So if I come in here, come on, open it up. Okay. And I come in here and I choose one of these. I can come up to view. I can come up to view. And I can choose, oh, let's see here, what was it? It was it's details. Yes, here we go, details. And now we can see that that is a PNG file, which is a graphics file, okay? And we can see the one below it is JPEG or JPG, which is also a graphics file. If you were in my Web Essentials class, there's a lecture in it that explains more detail about graphic files. But that's what extensions do. So it's important to have the right extension on a file. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do an example, okay, of how we create a new folder. So we right-click, New, and we choose New, and then we can choose Folder, okay. We can choose also any of these down here as well, which are different types. So we can go Folder, name it, okay, and there's our new folder. Now we can also delete the folder as well by right-clicking and delete, okay? Now we want to construct a zip folder. Now it used to be you could do the same thing, right? Click, right-click, then New, then choose a zip folder, but you can't do that anymore. And there's a reason for that. So let's choose something we want to put in a zip folder. Okay. And let's say I want to send this comics folder into a zip folder. I would right-click. I would then do 7-zip, which could be add to an archive or add to comics zip. Okay. I could also do send to compressed zip folder. Okay, I do that. And now you see down here that there's a compressed zip folder in pictures. So let me pop that up. We change the view. Come on. We'll do medium icons, and there's the zipped folder. Now what a zip folder does is it compresses the contents, okay, so that you can send it through the mail, because email, as we talked about last week, has a threshold for the size of the file that you can send through it. Last thing, which would be our, oh gosh, different types of computers. There's cloud storage computing, client-server relationship, and Internet of Things. Internet of Things is everything that's on the internet. Computers, vending machines, tablets, phones, laptops, cars, okay, anything that hooks into the internet. That's our Internet of Things. Client server is your home computer's a client, which communicates with servers out in a server farm. Okay, cloud storage is when you store something on the cloud, like in Dropbox. All right, that's that. Go on this computer. All right, your homework for this week is to read this, all right, and this, and take these quizzes and do your post. All right. Now, I'm thinking that this is not your first time you've gone to Safari Books, but let's click on it. Okay. It takes you here, and you can start reading. If you have to log in, you log in with your ETSU credentials, okay? Don't forget your post. All right. Stop that.